Imagine a force so powerful it can move mountains, yet so gentle it can calm the stormiest of hearts. This force isn't magic or science fiction, it's faith. Faith in God has been a guiding light for countless people throughout history, shaping lives, cultures, and entire civilizations. But what does it really mean to be one who believes in God? Let's explore this journey of faith together, uncovering the profound impact it can have on our lives and the world around us. Think about the last time you felt completely sure about something. Maybe it was knowing the sun would rise tomorrow, or trusting that a loved one would be there for you in times of need. That feeling of certainty, that unshakable confidence, that's a glimpse of what it feels like to believe in God. It's a belief that goes beyond what we can see or touch, reaching into the very core of our being and influencing every aspect of our lives. But believing in God isn't just about having a vague sense of a higher power. It's about forming a relationship with the divine, a connection that can bring comfort in times of sorrow, strength in moments of weakness, and guidance when we feel lost. For many, this belief becomes the foundation upon which they build their entire lives, influencing their choices, values, and the way they treat others. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about what others believe? Well, understanding faith and its impact on people's lives can help us build stronger connections with those around us. It can open our eyes to different perspectives and foster a sense of empathy and respect for others, even if their beliefs differ from our own. Plus, exploring the concept of faith might just spark some interesting questions about your own beliefs and values. So, whether you're a longtime believer, someone who's curious about faith, or even a skeptic, stick around. We're about to dive into the fascinating world of belief, exploring what it means to have faith in God and how it shapes the lives of billions of people around the globe. Let's start by breaking down what belief really means. At its core, belief is about accepting something as true, even when we can't see or prove it in the same way we can prove that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It's like having an inner compass that always points towards something greater than ourselves, guiding our thoughts and actions. When it comes to believing in God, it's not just about saying, yes, I think there's a higher power out there. It's much deeper than that. It's about feeling a connection to something bigger than yourself, something that gives your life meaning and purpose. This belief can be as gentle as a whisper in your heart or as strong as a roar that echoes through your entire being. For many people, belief in God feels like having a constant companion. Imagine always having someone to talk to, someone who listens without judgment and loves you unconditionally. That's how many believers describe their relationship with God. It's like having a best friend who's always there, even when you can't see them. But here's the thing. Belief isn't always easy. It's not like flipping a switch and suddenly you have unwavering faith. For most people, belief is a journey with ups and downs, moments of certainty and times of doubt. And that's okay. In fact, many believers say that wrestling with doubt has actually made their faith stronger in the long run. Think of belief like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. This might mean praying regularly, reading religious texts, or simply taking time to reflect on your beliefs. Over time, this practice can deepen your faith and make it a more integral part of your life. Now, let's look at an everyday example to help illustrate what belief looks like in action. Imagine you're about to board a plane. You can't see the pilot, you don't know how the complicated machinery works, but you trust that the plane will take you safely to your destination. That's a form of belief. Believing in God is similar, but on a much grander scale. You're putting your trust in something you can't see, believing that this higher power will guide you through life's journey. But belief in God goes even further. It's not just about trusting that things will work out. For many, it's about finding meaning in both the good and bad times. When life is going well, believers often feel grateful to God for their blessings. And when things are tough, many find comfort in the belief that God is with them, helping them through the challenges. Believing in God can also shape a person's values and actions. For instance, many believers try to live by certain moral principles they believe come from God. This might mean being kind to others, helping those in need, or striving to be honest in all their dealings. In this way, belief isn't just an internal feeling. It's something that can have a real, visible impact on how a person lives their life. It's important to remember that belief can look different for everyone. Some people have dramatic spiritual experiences that cement their faith. Others develop a quiet, steady belief over time. Some express their faith loudly and publicly, while others keep it as a private, personal matter. There's no one right way to believe. Ultimately, for those who believe, faith in God provides a framework for understanding the world and their place in it. It offers answers to life's big questions. Why are we here? What's the purpose of life? What happens after we die? While science and philosophy also tackle these questions, faith provides answers that many find deeply satisfying and comforting. So, when we talk about someone who believes in God, we're talking about a person who has chosen to see the world through the lens of faith. They've embraced a perspective that says there's more to life than what we can see and touch, that there's a higher purpose, a divine plan, and a loving presence watching over us all. Now that we've explored what it means to believe, let's look at why people believe in God. The reasons are as varied as the believers themselves, but there are some common threads we can explore. For many, belief starts in childhood. They grow up in families or communities where faith is an important part of daily life. They might attend religious services, say prayers before meals, or celebrate holidays tied to their faith. This early exposure can plant the seeds of belief that grow stronger over time. But not everyone who believes in God started out that way. Some people come to faith later in life, often after a significant event or a period of searching. Maybe they experienced a moment of crisis and found comfort in the idea of a higher power. Or perhaps they were struck by the beauty and complexity of the world and felt that there must be a divine creator behind it all. For others, belief comes through a process of study and reflection. They might read religious texts, explore different philosophies, and engage in deep discussions about the nature of existence. Through this intellectual journey, they come to the conclusion that believing in God makes the most sense to them. Some people describe having personal experiences that they see as evidence of God's existence. This could be anything from feeling a sense of peace during prayer to witnessing what they believe to be a miracle. While these experiences are deeply personal and can't be proven scientifically, they're often powerful enough to cement a person's faith. There are also those who believe because of the sense of purpose and meaning that faith provides. In a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable, the idea that there's a loving God with a plan can be incredibly comforting. It can give people a sense of direction and help them make sense of both the good and bad things that happen in life. Let me share a short story to illustrate this. I once met a woman named Sarah who had gone through a really tough time. She'd lost her job, her relationship had ended, and she was feeling lost and alone. In her darkest moment, she decided to visit a local church, even though she'd never been particularly religious. As she sat in the back pew, listening to the sermon, something shifted inside her. The message of hope and love resonated deeply, and for the first time in months, she felt a sense of peace. This experience led Sarah to explore faith further, and over time, she developed a strong belief in God. For her, faith provided a lifeline when she needed it most, and it continued to be a source of strength and guidance as she rebuilt her life. Now, it's important to remember that Sarah's story is just one example. The journey to belief is different for everyone. Some people have dramatic, life-changing moments like Sarah did. Others develop their faith gradually over time, almost without realizing it. And here's a key point. The reasons for believing can change over time. Someone might start believing because of family tradition, but as they grow older, their faith might deepen through personal experiences or study. Faith is often a lifelong journey, with twists and turns along the way. It's also worth noting that some people believe in God because of the positive impact they see faith having on others. They might be inspired by the kindness and compassion of religious people they know, or they might be moved by stories of how faith has transformed lives. For many believers, the idea of God provides answers to life's big questions. Where do we come from? What's the purpose of life? What happens after we die? While science and philosophy offer their own perspectives on these questions, many people find that faith provides answers that resonate on a deep, emotional level. Some people are drawn to belief because of the sense of community it provides. Religious communities can offer support, friendship, and a sense of belonging. In a world where many people feel isolated or disconnected, this can be a powerful draw. It's also important to recognize that for some, belief in God is tied to cultural identity. Their faith isn't just about personal beliefs, but about connecting with their heritage and being part of a long tradition. Now, you might be wondering about people who grow up in religious environments but don't end up believing. Or what about those who once believed but later lost their faith? These experiences are also part of the complex landscape of belief. Just as there are many paths to faith, there are also paths away from it. This diversity of experiences reminds us that belief is a deeply personal matter, influenced by a wide range of factors. As we wrap up this section, remember that the reasons for belief are as diverse as the believers themselves. Whether it's through upbringing, personal experience, intellectual exploration, or a combination of factors, each person's journey to faith is unique. Understanding these various paths can help us appreciate the complexity of belief and foster greater empathy for people of all faiths and those of no faith at all. In our next section, we'll explore how belief in God shapes daily life, looking at the practical ways faith influences the choices, actions, and perspectives of believers. Whether you're a believer yourself or simply curious about how faith operates in the lives of others, you'll gain valuable insights into the real-world impact of spiritual beliefs. Now that we've explored what it means to believe in God and why people believe, let's dive into how this belief shapes everyday life. For many believers, faith isn't just something they think about on special occasions or when they're in a place of worship. It's a constant presence, influencing their thoughts, decisions, and actions throughout each day. Let's start with the small stuff. For many believers, the day begins and ends with prayer. It might be a formal recitation or just a quiet moment of reflection. This practice helps set the tone for the day, reminding believers of their values and giving them a sense of purpose. It's like having a conversation with a trusted friend before stepping out into the world. Throughout the day, belief in God can influence how people interact with others. Many religions emphasize kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. So, a believer might make an extra effort to be patient with a difficult coworker or to help a stranger in need. They might see these actions not just as being nice, but as a way of honoring their faith and reflecting God's love in the world. Belief can also shape bigger life decisions. When facing a major choice, like deciding on a career path or whether to move to a new city, many believers turn to their faith for guidance. They might pray for direction, seek advice from religious leaders, or look to their sacred text for wisdom. This doesn't mean they're waiting for a booming voice from the sky to tell them what to do. Instead, they're using their faith as a framework to help them make decisions that align with their values and what they believe to be God's plan for their lives. For some, faith influences how they spend their time and money. They might volunteer at a local charity or donate to causes they believe reflect God's love for all people. Some choose careers in fields like healthcare, education, or social work because they see these as ways to serve others and live out their faith. Belief can also provide comfort and strength during tough times. When faced with challenges, whether it's a health issue, a relationship problem, or a professional setback, many believers find solace in their faith. They might draw strength from sacred texts, find peace through prayer, or feel supported by their religious community. This doesn't mean they don't feel pain or struggle, but their faith can provide a sense of hope and a belief that they're not facing these challenges alone. On the flip side, faith often enhances moments of joy and celebration. Believers might see their successes and happy moments as blessings from God, leading to a deeper sense of gratitude. Many religious traditions have special ways of marking life's milestones, births, coming-of-age ceremonies, marriages, that add layers of meaning and community involvement to these events. It's important to note that living a life of faith doesn't mean everything is always perfect or easy. Believers face the same everyday challenges as everyone else. The difference is in how they perceive and respond to these challenges. Their faith provides a lens through which they view the world, offering comfort, guidance, and a sense of purpose. For example, consider a believer named Michael who works in a high-stress corporate job. His faith influences his work life in several ways. He starts each day with a short prayer, asking for guidance and strength. At work, he tries to treat his colleagues and clients with respect and kindness, seeing this as a way to live out his beliefs. When faced with ethical dilemmas, he refers to his faith's teachings to help him make decisions he can feel good about. Michael's faith also affects how he handles stress. Instead of getting overwhelmed, he takes moments throughout the day to silently connect with God, finding calm in the midst of chaos. After work, he volunteers at a local food bank once a week, seeing this as a way to serve God by serving others. But Michael's life isn't perfect. He faces challenges like everyone else. However, his faith gives him a framework for understanding these challenges and finding meaning in them. When things get tough, he leans on his beliefs and his religious community for support. This example shows how faith can weave through all aspects of daily life, from major decisions to small interactions. It's not about following a set of rigid rules, but about living in a way that reflects one's beliefs and values. Of course, it's important to remember that not all believers express their faith in the same way. Some may be more outward in their expressions, while others keep their beliefs more private. The key is that for those who believe, faith is not just a label or a once-a-week activity. It's a fundamental part of who they are, shaping their worldview and influencing their actions in both subtle and significant ways. While belief in God can bring comfort, purpose, and joy to many people's lives, it's not without its challenges. Faith isn't always easy, and even the most devout believers can face periods of doubt, confusion, or struggle. Let's explore some of these challenges and how believers often navigate them. One of the biggest challenges many believers face is doubt. It's natural for people to question their beliefs from time to time, especially when faced with difficult situations or exposure to different viewpoints. A believer might wonder, is God really there? Or why do bad things happen if God is good? These questions can be unsettling, shaking the foundation of a person's faith. It's important to understand that doubt doesn't mean a person's faith is weak or false. In fact, many religious leaders and scholars argue that doubt is a natural and even necessary part of a mature faith. Wrestling with tough questions can lead to deeper understanding and a stronger, more thoughtful belief. The key is how a person responds to doubt. Many choose to explore their questions through study, discussion with others, or personal reflection. Another challenge believers often face is reconciling their faith with other aspects of modern life. This can include scientific discoveries, social changes, or personal experiences that seem to conflict with religious teachings. For instance, a believer might struggle to reconcile the theory of evolution with the creation story in their sacred texts, or they might grapple with how to apply ancient religious rules to modern situations not addressed in their scriptures. These conflicts can be particularly challenging for young people or those living in societies where religious beliefs are not the norm. They might feel torn between their faith and the pressure to fit in with their peers or succeed in a secular world. Navigating these waters requires thoughtful reflection and often involves finding a personal balance between religious traditions and contemporary life. Suffering and tragedy pose another significant challenge to faith. When bad things happen, whether it's a personal loss, a natural disaster, or widespread injustice, believers often struggle with the age-old question, why does God allow bad things to happen? This is known in religious and philosophical circles as the problem of evil, and it's one of the most difficult questions believers face. There's no easy answer to this question, and different religious traditions approach it in various ways. Some emphasize the idea of free will, suggesting that God allows humans to make their own choices, even if those choices lead to harm. Others focus on the belief that suffering can lead to growth and that God can bring good out of bad situations. Still others admit that there are some things humans simply can't understand about God's ways. For many believers, the key to dealing with suffering is not finding a perfect intellectual answer, but finding ways to maintain faith and hope in the midst of pain. This might involve leaning on their religious community for support, finding comfort in sacred texts or rituals, or focusing on ways they can help alleviate suffering in the world. Sometimes, the challenge comes from within religious communities themselves. No community is perfect, and religious groups can sometimes fall short of their ideals. Believers might encounter hypocrisy, judgment, or even abuse within their faith communities. These experiences can be deeply disillusioning and may cause some to question or even abandon their faith. In these situations, many believers find it helpful to distinguish between the core tenets of their faith and the imperfect human expressions of it. They might seek out healthier faith communities or focus on their personal relationship with God rather than institutional religion. Another challenge many believers face is the feeling of being misunderstood or judged by others. In increasingly secular societies, people of faith might feel like their beliefs are dismissed as outdated or irrational. They might face criticism or ridicule for their beliefs, or feel pressured to keep their faith private. On the flip side, in very religious societies, people might feel pressure to conform to certain religious practices or beliefs, even if they're struggling or questioning. This can lead to feelings of guilt or inauthenticity. Navigating these social pressures requires courage and often involves finding a balance between staying true to one's beliefs and respecting others' right to different views. Many believers find strength in connecting with others who share their faith, while also building bridges of understanding with those of different beliefs. It's worth noting that these challenges don't affect all believers in the same way. Some people seem to sail through life with unwavering faith, while others constantly grapple with questions and doubts. Many fall somewhere in between, experiencing periods of strong faith interspersed with times of questioning or struggle. For example, consider the story of Sarah, a college student raised in a religious family. When she went to university, she encountered ideas and experiences that challenged her childhood beliefs. She went through a period of intense doubt, questioning everything she had been taught about God. This was a difficult time for Sarah. She felt lost and unsure, torn between the comfort of her familiar faith and the new ideas she was encountering. But instead of giving up on her beliefs entirely, Sarah decided to explore her doubts. She read books by religious thinkers who had wrestled with similar questions. She had long conversations with friends of various beliefs. She even took a class on world religions to broaden her understanding. Over time, Sarah emerged with a faith that was different from her childhood beliefs in some ways, but also deeper and more personal. Her doubts hadn't destroyed her faith. Instead, they had transformed it. She found that she could embrace scientific knowledge and critical thinking while still believing in God. Her faith became more flexible and nuanced, able to withstand challenges and grow from them. Sarah's story illustrates how challenges to faith, while difficult, can sometimes lead to growth and deeper understanding. It's a reminder that faith is often not a static thing, but a journey with ups and downs, questions and discoveries. The key for many believers in facing these challenges is to approach them with an open and honest heart. This might mean acknowledging doubts rather than suppressing them, seeking out trustworthy sources of information and guidance, and being willing to grow and change. It often involves finding a supportive community where questions are welcomed and struggles are shared. Many believers also find strength in spiritual practices like prayer, meditation, or studying sacred texts. These practices can help ground them in their faith even when facing difficult questions or situations. Ultimately, for many believers, working through challenges becomes part of their faith journey. They may not find perfect answers to every question, but they often emerge with a faith that is more resilient, thoughtful, and meaningful to them personally. When we talk about belief in God, we often focus on personal faith, an individual's relationship with the divine. But for many believers, faith is not just a solitary experience. It's something shared, celebrated, and lived out in community with others. Let's explore the important role that community plays in the lives of many believers. Religious communities come in many forms. They might be large congregations that meet in impressive buildings, small groups gathering in homes, or even online communities connecting people across great distances. Regardless of the form, these communities often serve similar purposes in the lives of believers. First and foremost, religious communities provide a place for shared worship and ritual. Coming together to pray, sing, meditate, or participate in other religious practices can be a powerful experience. Many believers describe feeling a special kind of connection or energy when worshiping with others that's different from what they experience when praying alone. These communal practices often mark important times in the calendar, weekly gatherings, holy days, or seasonal celebrations. They provide rhythm and structure to religious life, helping believers stay connected to their faith amidst the busyness of everyday life. But religious communities are about more than just formal worship. They're often places where believers find friendship, support, and a sense of belonging. In a world where many people feel isolated or disconnected, religious communities can provide a network of relationships and a sense of being part of something larger than oneself. This sense of community can be especially important during life's big moments, both joyful and difficult. Many religious traditions have special ceremonies or rituals to mark major life events like births, coming of age, marriages, and deaths. These communal celebrations add depth and meaning to these transitions, connecting individual lives to the larger story of the faith community. In times of hardship, religious communities often step up to provide practical and emotional support. This might involve bringing meals to a family dealing with illness, providing financial assistance to someone who's lost a job, or simply offering a listening ear and words of encouragement to someone going through a tough time. Religious communities also often serve as centers for learning and spiritual growth. Many offer classes, study groups, or discussion forums where believers can deepen their understanding of their faith, explore difficult questions, and learn from one another. For children and young people, religious communities often provide education about the beliefs, practices, and stories of their faith tradition. Another important function of religious communities is providing opportunities for service and outreach. Many organize volunteer activities or run programs to help those in need, both within their own community and in the wider world. This allows believers to put their faith into action, working together to make a positive difference in the world. For example, a local church might run a food bank, a mosque might organize a clothing drive for refugees, or a synagogue might set up a tutoring program for underprivileged children. These activities not only help those in need, but also strengthen the bonds within the community as people work together towards common goals. It's worth noting that religious communities, like any human institution, aren't perfect. They can sometimes be places of conflict, judgment, or exclusion. Some people have had negative experiences in religious communities that have led them to question or even abandon their faith. However, for many believers, the positive aspects of religious community far outweigh the potential negatives. They find that being part of a faith community enriches their spiritual life, provides valuable support and relationships, and gives them opportunities to live out their beliefs in meaningful ways. Let's consider the story of the Johnson family to illustrate how religious community can work in practice. The Johnsons attend a local religious congregation. On a typical week, they might go to a worship service on their holy day, where they join in communal prayer and listen to teachings about their faith. But their involvement doesn't end there. The parents participate in a weekly study group where they discuss religious texts and how to apply faith principles to everyday life. Their teenage daughter is part of a youth group that combines fun social activities with discussions about faith and values. Their young son attends religious education classes where he learns the stories and traditions of their faith through games and activities. When Mr. Johnson lost his job last year, their religious community rallied around them. People brought meals, offered job leads, and provided emotional support during a stressful time. Mrs. Johnson found comfort in a women's prayer group that met regularly to share their struggles and hopes. The Johnsons also participate in their community's outreach efforts. Once a month, they volunteer at a homeless shelter run by their congregation. They see this as a way to put their faith into action and teach their children about the importance of helping others. This example shows how religious community can touch many aspects of believers' lives, providing worship experiences, learning opportunities, social connections, support in tough times, and chances to serve others. Of course, not all believers are as deeply involved in religious communities as the Johnsons. Some might attend services occasionally but not participate in other activities. Others might be part of multiple communities or informal groups rather than a single congregation. And some believers practice their faith primarily on their own, connecting with others mainly through books, online resources, or occasional events. The level and type of community involvement often depends on personal preference, life circumstances, and the nature of one's beliefs. What's important is that for many believers, faith is not just an individual matter, but something lived out in relationship with others. In our increasingly digital world, it's worth mentioning that religious communities are evolving. Many now offer online services, virtual study groups, and ways to connect through social media. While these can't fully replace in-person gatherings, they provide new ways for believers to connect and support each other, especially when physical meetings aren't possible. Ultimately, religious communities play a crucial role in supporting and expressing faith for many believers. They provide places to worship together, opportunities for learning and growth, support networks for life's ups and downs, and avenues for putting faith into action. While not without their challenges, these communities often serve as important anchors in the spiritual lives of believers, helping them to live out their faith in meaningful and practical ways. In our diverse world, people hold a wide variety of beliefs about God, spirituality, and the nature of existence. Some believe in one God, others in many gods, and still others don't believe in any higher power at all. With such a range of perspectives, it's crucial to talk about the importance of respecting different beliefs. Respecting others' beliefs doesn't mean you have to agree with them or adopt them as your own. Instead, it's about recognizing that each person's spiritual journey is unique and valid. It's about treating others with kindness and dignity, regardless of whether their beliefs align with yours. Why is this respect so important? First and foremost, it's a matter of basic human decency. Just as we wouldn't want others to mock or dismiss our deeply held beliefs, we should extend the same courtesy to others. Treating people with respect, regardless of their beliefs, helps create a more harmonious and understanding society. Moreover, respecting different beliefs can lead to valuable learning opportunities. When we approach others' beliefs with an open mind, we might discover new perspectives that enrich our own understanding of the world. We might find common ground where we least expect it, or gain insights that help us grow in our own faith journey. Respect for different beliefs is also crucial for peaceful coexistence in our diverse societies. History has shown us the devastating consequences of religious intolerance and conflict. By fostering an attitude of respect and understanding, we can help build communities where people of all beliefs, or no belief, can live together in peace. So, what does respecting different beliefs look like in practice? It starts with listening. When someone shares their beliefs with you, listen with genuine interest and without judgment. Try to understand their perspective, even if it's very different from your own. It also involves being mindful of your words and actions. Avoid mocking or belittling others' beliefs, even in jest. Be careful not to make assumptions about what people believe based on their appearance or background. Remember that within any religious or cultural group, there can be a wide range of beliefs and practices. Respecting different beliefs doesn't mean you can't disagree or engage in thoughtful discussion about spiritual matters. In fact, respectful dialogue can be a great way to learn and grow. The key is to approach these conversations with humility and openness, recognizing that none of us has all the answers. For example, consider a workplace where employees come from various religious backgrounds. Respect might look like accommodating different religious holidays, providing space for prayer or meditation, and fostering an environment where everyone feels comfortable expressing their identity. Or think about a neighborhood with families of different faiths. Respect might involve attending each other's cultural celebrations when invited, being considerate about noise during religious observances, or working together on community projects that benefit everyone regardless of belief. It's important to note that respect for different beliefs doesn't mean tolerating harmful practices or ignoring human rights violations carried out in the name of religion. It's possible to respect a person's right to their beliefs while still standing against actions that harm others. Cultivating respect for different beliefs often requires us to examine our own biases and preconceptions. We might need to challenge stereotypes we've absorbed from our culture or media. This can be uncomfortable at times, but it's an important part of growing in understanding and empathy. Remember, at the heart of many religious and spiritual traditions is the idea of treating others with kindness and compassion. By respecting different beliefs, we're often living out the very values that our own faith teaches. For many believers, faith is not a static thing but a journey of growth and discovery. Growing in faith doesn't necessarily mean becoming more certain about everything. Instead, it often involves deepening one's understanding, strengthening one's relationship with God, and learning to live out one's beliefs more fully. So, how do people grow in their faith? There are many paths, but let's explore some common approaches. One key way many believers grow in faith is through study and learning. This might involve reading and reflecting on sacred texts, exploring religious commentaries, or learning about the history and traditions of their faith. Many find that the more they learn, the richer and more meaningful their faith becomes. For instance, someone might start by reading their holy book cover to cover, perhaps with the help of study guides or in a group setting. They might then delve into writings by religious scholars or spiritual leaders, gaining new insights into their faith's teachings. Some even learn ancient languages to read texts in their original form. Prayer and meditation are also crucial for many in their faith journey. These practices help believers feel connected to God and can provide guidance, comfort, and inspiration. Some follow structured prayer routines, while others prefer more spontaneous, conversational approaches to prayer. Meditation, whether in the form of contemplative prayer, mindfulness practices, or other techniques, can help believers quiet their minds and open themselves to spiritual insights. Many find that regular prayer and meditation not only deepen their faith, but also bring a sense of peace and centeredness to their daily lives. Another important aspect of growing in faith is putting beliefs into action. This might involve volunteer work, standing up for social justice causes, or simply striving to treat others with more kindness and compassion in daily life. Many believers find that actively living out their faith not only helps others, but also strengthens their own spiritual convictions. For example, a believer might volunteer at a local homeless shelter, seeing this as a way to express God's love for all people. Or they might get involved in environmental conservation efforts, viewing it as a way to care for God's creation. These actions not only make a positive difference in the world, but also help the believer grow in their understanding and practice of faith. Many people find that their faith grows through life experiences, both positive and negative. Joyful events like the birth of a child or a beautiful sunset might deepen one's sense of gratitude and wonder at God's creation. Challenging times, while difficult, can lead to spiritual growth as believers lean on their faith for strength and seek to find meaning in their struggles. Community plays a vital role in faith growth for many. Engaging with others who share similar beliefs can provide support, accountability, and opportunities for learning and service. This might involve attending religious services, participating in study groups, or simply having deep conversations with other believers. It's worth noting that growth in faith often involves questioning and doubt. Many believers find that wrestling with difficult questions ultimately leads to a stronger, more mature faith. The key is approaching these questions with an open and seeking heart, rather than seeing doubt as a failure of faith. For instance, someone might struggle with the question of why God allows suffering in the world. Through study, prayer, and discussion with others, they might not find a complete answer, but they may come to a deeper understanding of their faith's teachings on the subject and how to maintain hope and trust in God even in difficult times. Growing in faith can also involve exploring different expressions of one's religion. Someone raised in a very traditional setting might find their faith enlivened by exploring more contemporary worship styles. Or someone from a more liberal background might find depth in exploring ancient rituals and practices. It's important to remember that faith growth looks different for everyone. For some, it might involve dramatic spiritual experiences or major life changes. For others, it's a slow, steady deepening of conviction and understanding. There's no one right way to grow in faith. Also, growth isn't always linear. Many believers experience periods of rapid growth followed by plateaus or even times of doubt and struggle. This is a normal part of the faith journey for many people. Ultimately, for many believers, growing in faith is about developing a deeper, more authentic relationship with God and learning to live out one's beliefs more fully in daily life. It's a lifelong journey of learning, questioning, experiencing, and serving. The relationship between religious belief and well-being has been a topic of interest for researchers, spiritual leaders, and believers themselves for many years. While individual experiences vary widely, studies have shown that for many people, religious belief can have significant positive effects on mental, emotional, and even physical health. One of the most commonly reported benefits of religious belief is a sense of purpose and meaning in life. Many believers find that their faith provides a framework for understanding their place in the world and the significance of their actions. This can be especially comforting when facing life's big questions or dealing with difficult circumstances. For instance, a believer going through a tough time might find comfort in the belief that their struggles have a purpose or that God is with them in their pain. This doesn't necessarily make the difficulty go away, but it can provide a sense of hope and resilience. Religious belief often comes with a set of practices that can promote well-being. Prayer and meditation, for example, have been shown to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve emotional regulation. Many people find that taking time for spiritual reflection helps them feel more centered and better able to cope with life's challenges. The community aspect of religious belief can also have significant benefits for well-being. Being part of a faith community often provides social support, which is crucial for mental and emotional health. Religious communities can offer practical help in times of need, emotional support during life's ups and downs, and a sense of belonging that combats loneliness and isolation. For example, a study might show that people who regularly attend religious services report lower levels of depression and anxiety compared to those who don't. This could be due to a combination of factors: the support of the community, the comfort found in religious teachings, and the sense of routine and purpose that regular worship provides. Many religious traditions emphasize forgiveness, both of others and of oneself. Practicing forgiveness has been linked to better mental health outcomes, including reduced anxiety and depression. While forgiveness can be challenging, many believers find that their faith provides both the motivation and the means to work through feelings of anger or resentment. Religious beliefs often come with moral guidelines that can promote healthy behaviors. Many faiths discourage excessive drinking, drug use, and other risky behaviors, while encouraging kindness, honesty, and care for others. Following these guidelines can lead to better physical health and more positive relationships, both of which contribute to overall well-being. It's important to note that the impact of religious belief on well-being isn't always straightforward or universally positive. Some people experience religious guilt or fear that can negatively impact their mental health. Others might feel conflicted if their personal beliefs or experiences don't align with the teachings of their faith. Moreover, the way a person interprets and practices their faith can influence its impact on their well-being. For instance, someone who views God as loving and forgiving might experience more positive effects than someone who sees God as punitive and judgmental. Research has also suggested that religious belief can be particularly beneficial in helping people cope with trauma and loss. Many find comfort in the belief that their loved ones are in a better place, or that there's a greater purpose behind their suffering. Religious rituals around death and mourning can also provide structure and support during these difficult times. Some studies have even suggested potential physical health benefits associated with religious belief and practice. For example, some research has found correlations between regular religious service attendance and longevity. While the reasons for this are likely complex and multifaceted, it's an interesting area of ongoing study. It's worth mentioning that non-religious people can and do find meaning, community, and well-being through other means. The benefits often associated with religious belief aren't exclusive to believers. However, for many people, religious faith provides a comprehensive framework that addresses many aspects of well-being in an integrated way. Ultimately, the impact of belief on well-being is highly individual. What brings peace and comfort to one person might not work for another. The key is for each person to find a path, whether religious or secular, that supports their mental, emotional, and physical health. As we come to the end of our exploration of what it means to be one who believes in God, it's clear that faith is a deeply personal and often complex journey. We've traveled through the landscape of belief, examining what it means to have faith, why people believe, how belief shapes daily life, the challenges believers face, the role of community in faith, the importance of respecting different beliefs, how people grow in their faith, and the impact of belief on well-being. Throughout this journey, we've seen that belief in God is not a one-size-fits-all experience. It's as diverse as the billions of believers around the world, each with their own unique relationship with the divine. For some, faith is a source of unwavering certainty, while for others, it's a constant dialogue of questions and discoveries. Some express their beliefs quietly and privately, while others share them openly and passionately. We've learned that faith is not just about what happens in places of worship or during times of prayer. For many believers, faith infuses every aspect of life, influencing decisions, shaping values, and providing a lens through which to view the world. It can be a source of strength during difficult times, a wellspring of joy in moments of celebration, and a guide for navigating the complexities of modern life. We've also seen that faith is often not a solitary journey. Many believers find strength, support, and growth through their religious communities. These communities provide opportunities for shared worship, learning, service, and connection, helping believers to live out their faith in practical ways. At the same time, we've acknowledged that the path of faith is not always smooth. Believers often grapple with doubt, struggle to reconcile their faith with other aspects of life, and face challenges both from within and outside their religious traditions. Yet for many, working through these challenges is part of the growth process, leading to a deeper and more mature faith. We've emphasized the importance of respecting different beliefs in our diverse world. This respect doesn't require agreement, but it does call for openness, empathy, and a willingness to learn from those whose beliefs differ from our own. In a world often divided by differences, such respect can build bridges of understanding and promote peaceful coexistence. Finally, we've explored how belief can impact well-being, noting the potential benefits for mental, emotional, and even physical health. While the relationship between faith and well-being is complex and individual, for many believers, their faith provides a source of comfort, purpose, and resilience that enhances their overall quality of life. As we conclude, it's important to remember that for most believers, faith is not a destination but a journey. It's a lifelong process of learning, growing, questioning, and discovering. Whether you're a believer yourself, curious about faith, or simply seeking to understand others better, I hope this exploration has provided valuable insights into what it means to be one who believes in God. In our diverse world, understanding and respecting each other's beliefs is crucial. By approaching faith, our own and others, with openness, empathy, and a willingness to learn, we can foster a society where people of all beliefs can coexist peacefully and even learn from one another. Remember, every person's journey with faith is unique. Whether you're a committed believer, someone who's curious about faith, or someone who doesn't believe in God, your journey is your own. The key is to approach it with honesty, openness, and respect, both for yourself and for others. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of belief in God. May it inspire further reflection, dialogue, and understanding in your own life and in your interactions with others.